Ghost Girl in the Corner is a fantastic novella from Daniel Jose Older that shows us the true power of community and the resiliency of spirit to take up the fight for justice. If you're feeling some shadow shaper withdrawal, Older is right on time with this funny and insightful novella that follows T and Izzy in a murder mystery in Brooklyn. So T and Izzy are in a bit of a rough patch in their relationship, causing Izzy to focus all of her energy on her music, and T devotes all of her time to the Bed-Stuy Searchlight with a new batch of writers. But when a local girl, Lainey, goes missing, T and Izzy must come together to spread the word and to mobilize their community to find Lainey before it's too late. And with the help of their community, their shadow-shaping sensibilities, and the ghost girl only T can see, we have a story that reminds us that we are the ones who have to take up the responsibility of protecting our communities and doing the work. When readers encounter Ghost Girl in the Corner, what do you want them to leave knowing and feeling with?
First of all, I think that it's a book about community in a lot of ways. So even though it's about this couple and these two girls trying to figure out, this mystery, it's also about the way that the community steps up where the institutions don't. And that's, I think, a lesson for writers, for human beings in general, for people of color in particular, is to find community and see it as the superpower and the savior that it is, rather than this individualistic kind of nonsense that we really buy into and have been in literature for centuries, because it's a very Western and white concept of the one ring to rule them all, the one savior, of the world, and all this crap, right? And I get it as a narrative, track, but there's so much more out there, and I think community is such a compelling concept, so multi-layered and exciting and full of dynamics and tension, so it's a book about community, like all my work is in a lot of ways. And something that you mentioned earlier, it's a book about spirits not always being the bad guy, because that's another very Western concept. I think every other culture almost in the world has a much more complex and usually loving relationship to our dead than just as creatures that jump out of closets and kill you. And so there's always a sense of reclamation, I think, in my work, as far as talking to, thinking about ancestors as entities that lift us up and support us and sometimes save our lives. And then finally, art, and Shadow Shaper is very clearly the painting and the community, and the that's the art that brings everyone together and kind of saves the day on some levels. And here it's also about the press and the idea of storytelling in the sense of almost documentary, and this idea of a people's press that will cover the stories that major corporations aren't interested in, and cover the lives that these gigantic entities don't care about. And that's what has to happen when we're not cared for. We have to do the caring.
I love the dialogue and the authenticity of Older's world. His characters and their circumstances seem so natural and so familial that you can't help but to just want to be around these characters all the time. I wonder if as he's writing this, he's laughing, listening to these characters, yes, and the way that they're, just kind of roasting each other. Yes. And
but I give all credit to the characters. As much as I want to be I'm the funny one, no, the characters are really funny, and I think dialogue more than anything is when a writer feels like we're channeling sort of whatever you want to call it, and so they just roast each other. That's all they do.
And you let them.
I just let them go. I'm just run along, and then I think where the writer part comes in is actually curbing them and making sure that all that dialogue is in the service of story on some level.
The novella is dedicated to Black girls everywhere, and one of my favorite aspects of Older's work is how he celebrates Black women writers who have impacted his work, and how he consistently uplifts Black women's names every chance that he gets. You always honor the Black women writers that inspire your work, as well as this novella being dedicated to Black girls everywhere. Mm-hmm. Why is this so important to your work and your craft?
Yeah, there's so many reasons. On a large scale, I think it's just that, we as a society, and then specifically us in social justice work and in communities of color, still leave Black women behind constantly in our analysis, in our actions, in our creative work. We're constantly not honoring them, y'all. And I think that's a huge tragedy and a huge just ongoing form of erasure that happens. because y'all are the ones doing so much of the labor and have always been doing so much of the labor that got us here on so many levels, you know, whether it's the organizing work, the background work, being on the front lines, just across the board. Black women have changed the world in so many levels and allowed us to have this space that we hold right now, and yet we constantly erase them from the narrative. So that's a lot of where the work has to happen on a personal level. It's just been Black women that have lifted me up and my voice up so many different moments in my life, from Mrs. Inez Middleton, who gave me my first Octavia Butler book in the 7th grade, who was my English teacher, for no clear reason that I know. Just took me aside one day and was like, take this book. And it was Bloodchild. It's right there behind us. And, you know, changed my life in a very slow kind of way, right? Because teachers are magic and they can see the future. And so she did. I have no idea how. I read it and it blew my mind, but I certainly didn't have a big revelation at the moment. It took 15 years to then go back and be like, at a moment when I was really at a crossroads, working on the ambulance, trying to figure out what to do with my life, and I was like, Octavia Butler, where have I been? She's been there this whole time, and I've been trying to figure out how to marry these two, what felt like very disparate parts of my world, which was, you know, work and social justice work and sci-fi and fantasy. And here was this woman who had done it, this writer who had done it and changed the world and given the rest of the world permission to think deeply about power in the format of a sci-fi novel or a fantasy novel. And that's why, you know, the school is named Octavia Butler High that all the kids go to in Shadow Shaper. And then as a writer too, Cherie Renee Thomas, who edited the Dark Matter anthologies, which are collections of speculative fiction from the African diaspora. She was my first real writing mentor when I came out in the world as a writer. And Tananarive Due is another one. Jacqueline Woodson is another one. Like, these women have always showed up when I need them most and been there for me. And it's like, to not honor that, it's like, that's not even possible given what they've given me.
And at a time when we're feeling anxiety and despair looming over us, Older shares some of the lessons he's learned along the way, from being drawn to this work to honing his craft of blending social justice and literature.
I've been skeptical of the idea of hope in the past, because I think sometimes it can be sort of corny, or like it can just be given to us as almost like a placebo or different things. But I also,
it's a way to make us feel better.
yeah. But I also am even more skeptical of the idea of despair. And I think that we've actually seen very often in the literary history of satire and dystopia. We see a lot of despair. If you think about 1984, you know, if you think about Brazil, like, these are not movies or books or stories that actually make you want to get up and fight, because they essentially are just telling you it's a wrap. You know, like, when that fist comes down, it's over. And what we need are ways of understanding how grave the danger is, and also how real our ability to fight it is, because we have faced worse dangers before and we have survived, and we will survive again.
Ghost Girl in the Corner is a great digital stocking stuffer for the young people in your life, and it definitely holds you over until Shadow House Fall hits our shelves in September of 2017. If you've read Ghost Girl in the Corner, share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think about the entire Shadow Shaper universe. And fans of Older should be excited 2 times, because the last installment of the Bone Street Rumba series, Battle Hill Bolero, will be hitting shelves January 3rd of next year. So you can pre-order that now and definitely pick this up when you can. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember to read or be read. I'll talk to you later. Bye.